Hello and welcome to the Luscious Living Podcast. I'm your host, Celine Vilgan, holistic nutrition consultant and the founder of Luscious Living, where personal growth meets wellness. Ladies, we've heard that PMS is a feminine curse, and it's time to bust that myth. Did you know that your period is actually a sacred and beautiful time for you? It doesn't feel like that when you have symptoms of cramps, bloating, nausea, headaches, and more. And I'm here to tell you it does not have to be that way. Did you know that you can use nutrition to ease those symptoms? Did you know that you have 4 different phases of your menstrual cycle? Yes, you can learn to optimize each of these phases and really understand your body and understand why you're more motivated in some times of the month and more excited to work out or more wanting to stay in, or you are just more intuitive in certain phases as well. Learn to understand your body, love yourself even more. This is all talked about in my best-selling book, The Painless Period Guide. Grab a copy for you and a friend. The link to purchase is in the description. Hello, sweet human. So you are thinking of starting your health journey, yet find yourself inundated with information that is all contradicting to each other and wondering where to start. Do I get this supplement? Do I do this workout? I heard of this diet that worked for my cousin's cousin or this celebrity. And trust me, I've been there. And now you're thinking, where do I start? What do I do? Where do I go? And, I just want to address that there are definitely some people who are natural athletes and grew up in a very healthy and fit environment. And I just want to identify now that health and fitness are not necessarily correlated. They can add to each other, but they can also take away from each other. And just because someone looks fit does not mean that they are healthy. And trust me, I see that in my practice all the time. I digress. I will share with you that I was not one of those people that grew up healthy from the start, okay? From a young age, I had things like hyperhidrosis, insomnia, bulimia, depression, anxiety. Then after bulimia was done, I was just binge eating, and there's more, right? And I will share, for me personally, these physical conditions were not random. They were actually self-induced from the quality of my thoughts. And so what I feel like the world misses in a way of when it comes to our health is starting from the level of thought, because thought repeated over time becomes a belief, and then we see evidence for these beliefs because of our reticular activating system in the brain. So it's kind of like you buy this red purse and all of a sudden you start seeing everyone with that red purse, okay? So these thoughts repeated become beliefs, and these beliefs then become actions, and these actions become habits, and our habits are really our results. So in order to change the results, we must begin at the level of thought, okay? And this always surprises people. Every time I work with clients one-on-one, we get to the level of belief. What do you believe about yourself? What do you believe about your body? What do you believe about others who have achieved this? And the key here is that the mind is not separate from the body. So if you have a long-standing illness or condition, it is time to observe that something there is happening deeper. Our physiology is simply a reflection of our psychology. So how do you identify that within yourself? How do you identify the beliefs? Well, this is with health, so you might want to look at maybe it's asthma, maybe it's weight, maybe it's migraines, and look, what are the thoughts and feelings that you have when it comes to this condition? Is it frustration? Is it worry? Is it fear? And start to look at where else do you experience that? And maybe it is a constant that you feel worried or fearful, etc. And the manifestation just happens to be in the ovaries or in the womb or with headaches. So then I also want you to look at what are some thoughts that you keep thinking to yourself. And again, these might be very secretive thoughts, not necessarily secretive to you, but they're just in the subconscious, right? So do you think that life is too hard? That you shouldn't speak up because it gets you in trouble? That you are worried about the outcome of the future? Do you have beliefs about being healthy? Oh, I would have to give up my movie night. I would have to get up earlier. I don't want to do that. I don't have the time. I don't have the money. Then who would you be without the condition that you have? Maybe in some way, again, this might upset or trigger someone, but you know what? I know you're here to grow, as am I. Who would you be without the condition? Maybe this condition gives you a sense of feeling special, or people see you and hear you more. Maybe it benefits you because your kids visit. Maybe you actually get to take time off for once, and this is the only way to do it. This is the only way to avoid the job that you hate, whatever it is. So I want you to deeply, deeply think about that, and it takes a level of intimacy, courage, and honesty to ask yourself these questions. And to flip that, start with asking, how would someone who loves herself think? And get to that higher ego level perspective and looking at, well, the vision of the woman that I am, and listen to the other episodes I've had on this topic. But how would she act? How would she feel? Because obviously we are physical beings, and there is a level of physical, the movement, the different foods, the supplements are vital, but also it's incomplete if we don't address the inside, okay? So then after you have really turned and uncovered some of the layers in your beautiful mind, then let's get to the basics and mastering the basics. And really over and over again, this is really, health is not complicated. It is mastering the basics and getting better and better with it. So for example, sunlight. Are you getting at least 20 minutes of sunlight on your face per day or on your skin without sunscreen? Okay, because sunscreen does not actually do any benefit with vitamin D production, and can be toxic in many cases as well if you're not using the right sunscreen. If you go on my Instagram, I do have a great post on, yet again, another lawsuit with a popular sunscreen company and what products to use instead. And if you're in Canada or in the Northern Hemisphere, I would definitely recommend getting a vitamin D plus K2 supplement. Then water. Are you drinking filtered water on a regular basis in a stainless steel or glass water bottle? Again, those plastic water bottles are going to impact your hormones. Xenoestrogens, they're called. So your body accepts it as estrogen. However, it is not estrogen, and it leads to excess estrogen, which then leads to PMS, and then we see this with different ovarian, uterine, breast cancers, as well as excess estrogen. So filter your water. I have a Berkey. You can get Santevia, is also great. Not a fan of Brita, but anything that's flushed in the system with birth control and other medications, and obviously there's differing opinions about this, but fluoride as well, you want to filter that. Okay, and don't take my word for it. Try it for yourself, and maybe you start to feel more clear-minded, right? And maybe you're, so for example, if there's medications, and that's going to impact liver, and that's going to impact hormones, and then headaches and things like that, okay? So that's one big thing. Make sure you're getting filtered water. Spring water is ideal. If you're listening to this in Canada, findspring.com. Is a great website as well. I think that actually extends to the US. Then sleep. Everyone's different, but if you are, if you're snoring, you're having trouble sleeping, having trouble waking up, start there, right? Or even starting to go to bed at a reasonable time, which means 10 a.m. is when we get that second wind because cortisol rises again if we don't go to bed. And then after midnight, the body is doing a bunch of detoxification processes. And so we must be going to bed at a reasonable time for that reason. Okay. So that's a big concept. And look into sleep hygiene as well. Are you dimming out the lights? Are you sleeping in a cooler room? Okay. There's so much there as well. Community. Do you have people that you love? They love you. Are you seeing them on a regular basis? Do you feel supported? That's huge. That's can't be bought. Okay. Of course, nutrition. So we're looking at whole foods. Okay. And obviously these things are delicious and well, two of the things, and I'm just using an example, definitely not going for the third one. But, instead of chickpea pasta on a twice a week basis, just eat the chickpeas, or gluten-free pretzels, and just go for the whole grain. And this is something, again, I will not eat or touch, is lab-grown meat. So go for the real thing, the whole food version. Make upgrades when you can. So from cereal to instant oats, from instant oats to steel cut oats, to margarine to butter or coconut oil or olive oil. Right? So start to actually read the labels in your food and look at what is exactly natural flavoring. Like, what is in that, right? And it can so easily be sold to us, oh, natural flavoring, so it's natural, it's okay. But not so. And even a lot of those health food bars or healthy yogurts, for example, look at the sugar content. That is enough to spike blood sugar. So just get the plain version and add some honey and fruit to it, for example. Okay, so start to get simple. Even something that we've been doing in our home is actually eating more organ meats. It is very cost effective and more nutritious than a lot of the other parts of the product, the animal. And it's just something that we used to do, but then now we're just having ground beef, for example, and ribs and steak, and not really the liver and the kidneys and the heart, which is so nutritious and very delicious, I will add. The other thing here is to look at targeted nutrition. So if you have, for example, arthritis or PCOS or you're postpartum, please be sure that you're eating on a targeted level. Like, eating healthy is not enough. This is the next level, is targeted. What do you need for PCOS? What do you need for arthritis? Okay? And I do recommend highly working with someone like myself to actually understand what that means, or getting books from the library or chapters or whatever it is, because that's the next level. And that is an example of optimizing. Okay? Next is movement. This is, again, different for everyone, and some of the studies will show you only need 3 times a week of exercise, but honestly, I recommend it every day. If you're at that level where you're able to move your body every day, please do so. 30 minutes it could be, 10 minutes it could be, or an hour, depending on where you're at, but move your body. Go for a walk, do yoga, go for a run, whatever it is, does not actually matter, but it is the biggest antidepressant that I have seen in my own life, okay? The other part of this is stillness. There is a lot of noise in our modern day environment, a lot of distractions. Everything is asking for your attention. So get still. Be still. Breathe. Give yourself permission to listen to your intuition. And that's a line from Tony Jones, and I just find it to be so brilliant. Okay? So if you're just starting out, pick one of these things and pick a little micro thing of this, okay? So it could be movement, and you're going to say, I'm going to move my body for 5 minutes a day. Okay, you're going to go for a 5-minute walk. Or you're going to say, I'm going to get a Berkey water filter. I'm not affiliated with them, by the way. I just love and use their product. I'm going to get 5 minutes of sunlight and then move up to 20 by 6 months. 20 minutes, right? So start in the most micro way possible, get good at it, get consistent, and then build. Okay? So I'm going to recap that here. So sunlight, water, sleep, community, nutrition, movement, stillness. And you want to optimize from there. What would you add to this list? Let me know. Send me a message. I'm at _Let'sJustLiving_ on Instagram. If you have something that you would add to this list, let me know. And if you are starting on your health journey, let me know what you will begin with. I believe in you so much. If you have any questions about this, it would be a privilege to help answer, okay? Have an amazing rest of your day. If you like this episode, please give it a 5-star review. My love to you, and see you next time.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Please give the show a 5-star review if you feel like you learned something new today. All of the mentioned links will be in the show notes. And also, are we connected on Instagram? Find me over at _Let'sJustLiving_ and come say hi. See you next episode.